Yo, what's going on, everyone? My name is Rutto, and today we're going to be talking about the Tfue versus Faze Clan drama. Again, I know there's just a lot more that has come out since my last video, and I want to talk about it. We're going to be specifically looking at Zexel's video on the whole situation. And if you don't know who Zexel is, he's a pretty big YouTuber with over 125,000 subscribers who does mainly like Fortnite videos and exposed videos on other Fortnite streamers and content creators. And they're pretty good. I've enjoyed some of them, but I do disagree with some of the points that he brought up in his video. There's a lot of misinformation and just facts that aren't true. So I wanted to bring it up and talk about it in my video. With that being said, I do not hate Zexel. I just disagree with some of the points he made. So all the Zexel fans can stop hating now. I definitely don't hate him. And with that being said, let's get right into it.
Tfue is someone that I like a lot more than Banks, but Tfue, what you're doing is kinda scummy. Think about it. You gave 0 to the Faze Clan, and they gave you almost everything. Before you were in Faze, you would average 100 viewers, and Faze was already a huge team. But Faze lowered their ego to put a small streamer at the time to a team at first that didn't even want you. Yeah, you heard me correctly. Cloaksy said, and I quote, he's garbage. He didn't even want to play with you. But since Banks asked Cloaksy to play with you, he did it out of respect.
Okay, so the first thing he starts talking about is how Tfue lowered their standards and their ego to pick up Tfue, who was a small streamer at the time. And I know I've talked about this in my last video, but I first want to go over Tfue's analytics the month before he signed for Faze. Again, like I mentioned in my last video, Tfue signed for Faze in late April. But it was only really announced when Tfue and Faze Clan both posted videos where they announced that Tfue had joined Faze Clan. Before then, the public didn't know. And at that time, Tfue gained like 800,000 subscribers in the month of April. Yes, he got a Twitter shoutout from Faze Banks, but I do not think a Twitter shoutout can lead to 800,000 subscribers. But like I mentioned in my last video, Tfue was blowing up before he joined Faze. So if we look at the month in April, and he joined Faze late April, but no one knew about it until maybe the last day of April and early on in May. Well, in the month of April, he had multiple videos that had over 1 million views, including one that got 17 million views. He also had another video that was posted on April 2nd, and in this video, he killed Ninja in a game. This video got almost 10 million views. And the thing about Fortnite videos is they don't have a lot of longevity because the game is always changing and people don't want to watch old gameplay. So most of these views would have come in probably the first couple of weeks that it was uploaded. On top of that, he got a massive shout out from Noah J, who ranked him as the best Fortnite player in the world, ahead of Myth and Ninja, who were pretty much considered the best at the time. That video also got almost 10 million views. So we're talking about millions and millions of views that were all pretty much centered around Tfue being amazing at the game. Now I did the math, and for the Tfue video we got 17 million views, and the Noah J video that got 10 million views, both were released before Tfue even finalized his contract with Faze Clan. Tfue would have only needed something like 3 or 4% of the people who watched that video to subscribe to him, and he would have gained something like 800,000 subscribers. On top of that, he had other videos in the month of April that got 10 million views, as well as posting almost daily and gaining hundreds of thousands of views off of that too. So Tfue was blowing up before he signed for Faze Clan. But Zexel also mentions how Faze Clan lowered their ego to pick up Turner. Well, I don't really get that point at all because everyone else who was signed for Faze Clan was pretty small at the time too. I mean, if you want to look at pure statistics, in the month of March, Tfue got more Twitch views than Cloaksy, who was already signed for Faze at the time and was the captain of the team. So considered probably the best player on the team and probably got the most clout from it. So Tfue was bigger than the captain of Faze Clan. The thing is that at the time, there was no Fortnite competitive scene. Everyone who was getting picked up by big orgs was pretty much a small streamer or content creator, and they had no idea how the professional Fortnite scene would work. This was before Friday Fortnite, before the summer skirmishes, before anyone had any idea what competitive Fortnite would look like. So they were just signing players. And this point makes Tfue look like he's a scumbag and he's not appreciative of what Faze did for him, and I'm not saying that Faze didn't blow him up, but what I'm saying is that everyone acts like Tfue was a nobody before, but it's just not true. Now that's one problem I have with the situation, and it's definitely not just Zexel saying this kind of stuff. It's literally everyone, even people who are siding with Tfue, don't believe that he blew up before Faze Clan, which he did. Like 800,000 subscribers, you know, millions of views. It's not nothing. So it's important to understand that. Now the second problem I have with this video is that Zexel is putting in clips that are pretty much outdated. For example, he's putting in clips from Ninja's video where he talks talked about the whole situation.
Let's understand something very important too. Faze and Banks have every right to be super emotional. What you guys are about to see right now, Sunday, April 1st, this is the day, like this is when Tfue got signed with Faze.
Now Ninja talked about the whole situation when it first happened, when it first broke out. This was even before Faze Banks posted his video. So we only knew one side of the story. Tfue did not talk about it yet, the contract was not leaked, and I think it's unfair to show an outdated clip where everyone was on one side at the time. Ninja in this video is saying things that just aren't true, like that Tfue signed on April 1st, or that the only problems in the contract were that there were 80-20 splits on some sponsorship deals, because we've seen the contract now and we know that is not the case. I just want to give some advice to Zexel, and it's that your information or the sources that you use have to be relevant and have to be updated, and this definitely isn't, and it kind of just makes you look bad when you look at it from like a journalistic standpoint. Now, another problem I have with Zexel's video is that there is a lot of misinformation that he's saying, specifically when he said that the lawsuit claimed that Faze Clan was taking 80% of Tfue's earnings, because the lawsuit never said that.
The lawsuit claimed that the contract entitled the organization a finder's fee up to 80% of Tfue's revenue, which if you guys didn't know, it's a lot of money.
The lawsuit was only about sponsorship deals, and to say that they were taking 80% of his earnings is just false, and you know, we've seen the contract, we know what they were taking. That was information that was first released from the Hollywood Reporter article and was circling for a little while, but we now know not to be true because we've seen the contract. So I think you should have clarified that, because it makes the whole situation seem a lot worse than it actually is. Faze Clan isn't taking his Twitch or YouTube revenue, which is probably majority of the money that he's making.
It must have been at one point where Tfue did like the contract, or else he wouldn't have signed. I want to know why. If the contract was so bad, why sign in the first place?
This is the next part I want to talk about, and it's why Tfue signed the contract. Obviously, Zexel isn't the only one to bring this up, because it's a fair point. Why would you sign the contract if it was so bad? And obviously, he shouldn't have signed the contract. He admits it. He admits he was stupid. But you guys have to understand that Faze Clan is pretty much the biggest and most reputable esports organization in the world, rivaled only by probably Optic and 100 Thieves. Like, it's a dream for people to play for this organization. So you really wouldn't think that they'd fuck you over. On top of that, who knows, maybe he hired a lawyer, the lawyer wasn't really good, or he didn't have money at the time to hire a lawyer because, you know, he was a small streamer before then. In the month of April, he started really blowing up, but the Twitch and YouTube revenue takes a month to come in, so he wouldn't have got the money by the time he signed anyways. And I assume Faze Clan promised him the world. They would have said, you will become a millionaire, we can make you so much money. And you know, he was young at the time, he was 20 years old, and you know, sometimes you just get manipulated by people, and that's, I think, what happened.
Now, the only reason why I feel a little bad for the Faze Clan is because the fact that they picked up Turner when he was almost a nobody. And to be completely honest, I'm pretty sure Faze helped Turner a lot. And if Tfue did get out of the contract, it would seem a little bit unfair for Faze themselves.
So this is where I completely disagree with Zexel. He says that it would be unfair for Tfue to leave the contract because he feels bad for Faze, because, you know, they picked him up when he was a lot smaller, they built him, they built his image, and they made him a lot of money, and they promoted him a lot. Well, when you actually see the contract, you can really see that Tfue was the only one being fucked over. Zexel seems to think that the biggest problem in the contract is the 80-20 splits. And yes, those are terrible, especially for someone the size of Tfue, but personally, I believe, and many other people do as well, that the worst part of this contract is actually in the termination clause, where it states that in the event of termination for a gamer material breach, gamers shall be prohibited from playing video games publicly, online, or in live tournaments, or professionally for a period of 6 months from the effective date of such termination. So that means if Faze Clan wanted to terminate Tfue's contract, he wouldn't be allowed to play video games anymore. He wouldn't be allowed to have a job anymore. Now you see where the real problems lie. Tfue wouldn't be allowed to stream on Twitch, to post YouTube videos, to play in tournaments for 6 months. His channels would die. He would lose his livelihood.
I'm pretty sure they want to keep Tfue himself, seeing that they kind of molded him into the person he is today. Now, I gotta agree, loyalty is very important, but also betrayal is something that you should watch out for.
So Zexel says that loyalty is important, but I mean, he's talking about loyalty and how Tfue should be loyal to Faze Clan. And I just completely disagree. We're talking about a company that pretty much owns you and could end your career whenever they want it. The argument that Tfue owes Faze Clan something is just bogus. Yes, Tfue has made millions of dollars off of Faze Clan, but that's not worth anything if they could take it all away, especially in his prime. Just because someone has made you millions doesn't mean you have to be loyal to them, especially when they can take it all away at the drop of a hat.
We have sent directly to Turner or Tfue in hopes to renegotiate his contract.
What the actual Faze? Why is more than 80% of the contract blurred out? Wasn't the point of the video to show the contracts?
Here is where I completely agree with Zexel. Faze Clan's response video was terrible because it just showed that they're liars. They first didn't even release the contract that got leaked, and then they just showed contracts that were completely blurred and only showed one line that suited their narrative. I mean, it just shows that the people who are running Faze Clan are scammers and liars, and that no one should be signing for them because you will get fucked over. Here's the thing, I totally agree, and Zexel even proves in his video that they were lying about how they offered him the 80-20 splits. But I do think even if they did offer him the splits that he wanted, or the $1 million, he would have never signed a contract with them. And think about it for a second. Would you want to sign a contract with people who clearly tried to screw you over? It doesn't matter if they're trying to make the situation better. You can't trust them in the first place. On top of that, Faze Clan has not come out and said that the termination clause was not in any of these other contracts. And Tfue would never sign a contract with that termination clause in it because it screws him over. Now, the next part of the video, Zexel puts in clips from FaZe Bank's video where he talked about the Tfue situation. So it's kind of old, but I still want to make some points because I didn't make them in my last video, and I think they're actually fairly good points.
So the fact of the matter is, we have earned a grand total of, get ready for a drum roll please, T-Wah, $60,000 from Tfue. That's how much money we have earned off of his whole entire career. His Twitch, his YouTube, which are two of the biggest on the platform, Twitch being the actual biggest Twitch streamer in the world. We have collected zero on YouTube, we have collected zero on Twitch. His subs, his ad revenue, nothing. Literally nothing.
Okay, so first of all, yeah, you didn't collect any of his Twitch and YouTube revenue because it wasn't in the contract, and he's not suing for that, so it's not very relevant. But secondly, I hate how they say they only collected $60,000 off of Tfue. Maybe that is true in regards to sponsorships, and I can't even believe that anymore because of how much Faze Clan has lied and tried to manipulate the situation. But to say that you have only made $60,000 off of Tfue is just a bold-faced lie. Faze Clan knows that they can make so much more off of Tfue than Tfue can make off of them because he is just so massive and is so easily marketable. I mean, if you go to Faze Clan's channel, go to the search bar and search keyword Tfue, you will see tons of videos of them putting Tfue's name in the title or his pictures in the thumbnail. And these videos gain hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views. They have been monetizing Tfue since he first joined Faze Clan, but they just do it through their YouTube channel. I mean, they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars off these videos alone. So to say that you've only made $60,000 off of Tfue is just not true. Maybe in terms of the contract you signed, you only made $60,000, but off marketing him, you have made so much more. So they have to stop saying that they haven't made any money off of Tfue or they've only made $60,000 because it's not true and it's just lies. So since Zexel put clips from Banks' video into his own video, I mean, doesn't really talk or acknowledge the video after he plays it, which I think means that he agrees with some of the things Banks was saying. I just hope I, change some opinions here because I really do think Tfue was screwed over. So with that being said, again, I don't hate Zexel. I just disagree with some of the things he was saying. If there are parts in Zexel's video I didn't talk about, it's probably because I agreed with them. And I didn't really want to talk about too much with what I agreed with because then the conversation really ends. The conversation begins when you disagree with someone and, you can have a real conversation and, just understand other people's opinions, which is always good to know and good to have. So with that being said, this is going to be the end of the video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you guys thought of the video. If you liked it, if you hated it, just let me know. Trying to be responding to as many comments as I can. Make sure you're using creator code SuperHotMom4 in the Fortnite item shop. And with that, have a great day. Peace.